fiction. And today I'm going to share 3 stories that demonstrate that. But before we get into today's stories, if you're a fan of the strange, dark, and mysterious delivered in story format, then you've come to the right place because that's all we do. And
wow, YouTube did win 5 votes. Good shit, guys.
So if that's of interest to you, please invite the like button to come over your house and play Mortal Kombat.
Good shit.
When they do, play real Mortal Kombat and uppercut them into the ceiling. Also, please subscribe to our channel and turn on all notifications so you don't miss any of our weekly uploads. All right, let's get into today's stories.
Sounds good, everybody. Everybody sounding good? Mr. Ballin. I actually should subscribe to him because this guy makes really good content. Like, this guy makes some amazing
Jim
content.
Stauffer's mother finally passed away from Alzheimer's disease at the age of 74. Her doctors told Jim that her disease had mutated in a way they had not seen before, and they asked if he'd be willing to donate her body so they could study her brain. Jim felt like his mother would want him to say yes, and so he agreed. But
Jim looks just concerned. This might have been after the passing, but he doesn't look like sad. He just looks concerned. Alzheimer's, for anyone who doesn't know, this is going to sound really stupid. Alzheimer's call me wrong, isn't it where you start forgetting? You start, like, your brain basically starts to decay and you slowly start to forget a lot of things and forget basically human existence, right? That's Alzheimer's, right? Yes. Okay. I wanted to make sure I had that right.
For a variety of administrative reasons, the neurologists couldn't actually accept Jim's mother's body. At this point, Jim was really bought into the idea that his mother's brain was going to help other patients. And so while he couldn't donate her body to these neurologists, he could donate her body to the Biological Resource Center in Phoenix, Arizona.
Okay.
This center would take dead bodies and then extract parts of them for scientific research, and then would cremate the rest of them and return the ashes to the family. Jim gave his mother's body to the center, and when he filled out the paperwork, he indicated that her brain should be extracted for Alzheimer's research. After filling out the paperwork, Jim left, and 10 days later, he received a wooden box in the mail that contained his mother's ashes. There was no note attached to the box explaining exactly what was done to his mother's body, but Jim assumed they did what he asked. A year later,
never assume that.
Never assume. By the FBI after accusations they were selling these donated bodies for profit. During the FBI's investigation, they uncovered that yes, the center had been doing that and had sold at least 20 bodies to the U.S. Army for various experiments.
Oh my God, 20 body? Did he say to the U.S.?
Center had been doing that and had sold at least 20 bodies to the U.S. Army for various experiments.
They sold 20 bodies to the U.S.? They sold 20 bodies to the fucking U.S.? When did this happen? I didn't hear about this. I never heard about this shit.
And one of the bodies that was sold was Jim's mother. She was sold for $5,893.
Okay, that's kind of cheap. That's kind of cheap. That's not really. That's kind of cheap. And Army can confirm. What do you wait? Whoa. What do you mean you can confirm? Seven, do you guys do that? I don't know if you can disclose that information live on my stream. Please don't. I don't want to get raided if you can't. Do you guys do that shit? I understand if it would be for like autopsy training or like, you know, rescue training and shit. Like people do donate the body. First off, $5,000, that seems kind of cheap to me. I don't know if that's cheap or expensive, but that seemed a little cheap to me.
The FBI told Jim she had not been used for Alzheimer's research.
Oh my God, I was in the Army and never got issued a body.
And then had a bomb detonated underneath her. The Army was trying to understand the effects on the human body when a vehicle is hit by an IED. The ashes Jim received in that wooden box he got in the mail were only from his mother's hand. The rest of her body was unrecoverable.
Okay, yeah, so a lot of people don't understand this. I will explain this to you guys because I used to work in a morgue, so I used to work in a morgue, so I kind of like got a breakdown of how stuff works. Military buys bodies from military training, gives more real life feel to certain situations or scenarios. I know they do test dummy training with real bodies to see how it works. I don't know about recent. Yeah, they do cadavers to teach. Oh, okay. So when you get a body cremated, most of those ashes are actually cardboard from what I hear. I'm not going to say I know because I didn't work at a crematory, but I've been told most of the ashes that you get in an urn, the reason you get a lot of it is cardboard. It's not the actual bone or body. Most of it's cardboard. I don't know if any of you knew that or if that was information that a lot of people do know. but it's probably something that you never really thought about. Most of the ashes are just cardboard.
During this FBI investigation, they found inside the center there was a man's body on the wall with a female head sewed onto it. It appeared to be
what, yo?
Jim, along with 19 other families, sued the center, and finally, in 2019, they were awarded $58 million in damages. The center no longer is in operation.
That is money. All right, so I didn't know he did number 1, 2, and 3 sections. That was number 1, and it was only 3 minutes long, so that was a shorty.
In 2004, Mitch was in his final semester at college in Louisiana when he met another senior, a wonderful young lady.
Louisiana, good state. Good state. I like Louisiana.
He knew he was in love. She played hard to get at first, but after several months, he won her over. After graduation, the pair stayed in Louisiana and moved in together while they got their careers off the ground. 2 years later, the pair got married, and almost immediately, Kayla got pregnant. At the time, Mitch's career was really starting to take off, which allowed Kayla to stay at home and take some time off. By the time their daughter was born, Mitch was making so much money that Kayla decided to just stay home and be full-time mom. A couple years later, Kayla got pregnant again, and by the time their daughter was 2 years old, they had their son. Mitch adored his children. Every morning before he went to work, he would sneak into their room and he would watch them sleep. And then in the evenings, they would have these big family sit-down meals and then play games together until bedtime.
Perfect family.
Was perfect. Shortly after his son's birth, Mitch was lounging on the couch in his TV room when he noticed out of the corner of his eye the red lamp in the corner of the room. It just looked funny. So like the light itself was blurry.
So they have a red lamp. 2004, stay-at-home wife, career taken off, has 2 kids. I'm pretty sure we're up to date. By the way, what do you guys think about these kind of houses? I think these houses are butt-ass ugly. I don't know what you guys think. The house in the background, I think those houses are ugly as shit. Empath Mama, thank you for the 2 gifted subs to Fireheart got 1, and Shay Bay. I will make sure to message Shay and let her know. Love that. Thank you, Empath. Fireheart, no more ads for you. No more ads for you. You can watch ad free.
When we looked a little bit closer at it, the entire lamp looked blurry. And so Mitch looked around the room, and nothing else was blurry. He rubbed his eyes.
I'll look at it. I'll look at it.
Over at this lamp.
Again, I'll look at it again.
Blurry. He turned the TV off and walked over to the lamp.
Okay, so you just got bad vision.
Right in front of it, the lamp was still blurry.
Okay,
Mitch didn't have bad eyesight.
Bullshit. Get some glasses. Get some glasses.
Having a stroke? Do I have an aneurysm? Is there some sort of illness here that's making me see this lamp blurry when it's really not? But Mitch told himself he was healthy and that whatever this was,
Mitch is losing his eyesight. He's getting old.
Worry about. And so he went back over to the couch, turned the TV back on, and tried to ignore the lamp. But as he was watching TV, out of his peripheral vision, he couldn't help but notice this weird blurry lamp. And so finally, he turned the TV off again.
Is this whole thing about one lamp?
This lamp. And now, in addition to being blurry, it appeared to be upside down. Now Mitch was genuinely concerned that there was...
I think Mitch is sipping a bit of the happy juice. I think we're just drinking happy juice right now. The man thinks the lamp's upside down. We're drinking happy juice. We're not sober. We're not sober in this situation.
Because again, nothing else in the entire room was blurry or upside down. It was just this lamp. And so a few minutes later, his wife and his kids came home, and Mitch decided he would not tell them about this lamp. He didn't want to alarm them. He figures he will get to the bottom of this blurry lamp, and then he will tell his wife and kids. And so that night,
I didn't think about tumor in his eye.
Meal, and then afterwards they play some games together, and then everybody goes upstairs and goes to sleep.
Okay.
But after everyone had gone to sleep, Mitch was just
not if they play Monopoly. They play Monopoly, they ain't going to sleep.
Finally, he snuck out of his bed and went downstairs to the TV room, and he sat on the couch and he just stared at this
fucked up. All right, I'm trusting you.
Hours and hours, he just fixated himself on this lamp, watching it kind of morph around and turn upside down.
Well, the lamp's downstairs, right? So why is...
The next day, Kayla found Mitch lying on the couch, passed out.
Okay.
She asked him if he was okay.
No.
And again, Mitch didn't tell her
losing his eyesight.
Lamp that was still blurry. He just told her that he wasn't feeling well and he was not going to go to work that day. But Mitch didn't go to work for 3 more days. He just sat on the couch.
Ain't nothing wrong with a little bit of sick time.
At this lamp. And Kayla obviously picked up on this strange behavior and kept poking and prodding to get more information about what was going on, but Mitch never told her the truth about this lamp. He just kept telling her he felt sick.
Okay.
She urged him to go see a doctor, but Mitch told her it would be fine, he'd get better. And then over time, as this lamp continued to morph and get bigger and get stranger and stranger, Mitch suddenly was unable to respond to his wife. He became...
I'm assuming the lamp is like like an LSD high. Like he's watching it like go through like a lava lamp type deal is what I'm assuming. So it's like LSD trip is what it's
totally
like sounding like. Sounds like an LSD
and so
trip.
Obviously his wife became desperate and called the doctor. And as she's on the phone with the doctor trying to get advice about what to do, Mitch realizes the lamp is now growing in leaps and bounds.
What the
fuck? The lamp is the entire size of the room, and all he can see is the red color of this lamp. And then Mitch starts to hear these voices, these screams.
Okay, so he's going insane.
And then he feels this blinding pain in his head, and then he opens his eyes and he looks up and he sees he's laying on the sidewalk next to one of the buildings at his college in Louisiana, and surrounding him is this crowd of people with wide eyes.
I think that was LSU.
Mitch
no, that wasn't
idea
LSU.
What was going on, and so he naturally just began scanning the crowd, looking for Kayla and his kids to try to figure out, how he got
What's
here.
up, baby girl?
But before he could ask any questions and before he could find his wife and kids, a police officer ran through the crowd, picked him up, and ran him over to his police car, put him in the back, and then began driving away. And so while Mitch is in the back of this police car, he turns to the officer and he says, "What's going on?" And the officer tells him
dude,
he was attacked by a huge college football player. He got hit in the head and he fell backwards and he hit his head again and he fell unconscious. Mitch asked the officer where his wife and kids were, and the cop said he had no idea. And that's when it clicked for Mitch. The lamp wasn't real. Neither was his wife, neither was his daughter, neither was his son, neither was his life. For the past 10 years, it was all a hallucination while he was unconscious after getting attacked. Mitch was brought to the hospital where he would make a full physical recovery.
What the fuck? What? So you're telling me this man got knocked out unconscious for like maybe an hour and had a 10-year fucking hallucination? What? Is that a tumor though? Here's my thing. I'm gonna finish it. I don't want to spoil it. It's a tumor. I want to know how it's confirmed. How is it confirmed?
Horribly depressed, and he had to get intense therapy to basically grieve for the loss of his family that never existed.
That would suck.
Mitch says he can barely remember what his family even looked like, but periodically in his dreams he will catch a glimpse of his son in his peripheral vision, and his son is perpetually 5 years old and he's trying to talk to his father, but Mitch can never understand what he says.
Here's my thing. He didn't say it was a tumor though, did he? I didn't hear him say it was a tumor. I heard him say it was a football player, a Louisiana University football player tackled the shit out of him. Visceral hallucinations? Yeah, visceral hallucinations. Hallucinations that you feel like you could touch, I believe is what that means. It's like hallucinations you feel like you can actually touch and grab. How can you confirm that though? If that makes sense. Like, call me crazy, call me stupid. How can you confirm that's 100% true? You're going, the man could just be insane and you're just going with it. TBI? What do you mean TBI? I'm not sure what TBI is. You'd have to explain that. Is the T stand for tumor or no? I'm not sure what TBI is. I've never heard of TBI. That's not something in my vocabulary. But I'm curious how you know this is real. Like because this says like 100% real. How can you confirm it's 100% real? Traumatic brain injury? Oh yeah, that makes sense. Like a traumatic brain injury, a concussion is when the brain you have a concussion when the brain is moved and touches the skull. So when your brain touches the actual physical inside of your skull, you have a concussion. So with hard hits and getting hit can cause major issues in the brain and other organs. Yeah, especially the cranial. Yeah. So many head hits and shits. Okay. I just want to know how they think it. Like, I guess you're going off the man's word. You just believe that he believes it so much that it happened, that it is real. But I wouldn't say that's 100% real, if that makes sense.
In 2007, Brett Ryan
say
was a charming 26-year-old man living in Toronto, Canada. He was known as an extremely friendly guy who was always smiling ear to ear with his trademark grin. In his spare...
He was 26 in this picture? Guys, do I look like this at 26? I just turned 26. Do I look like this? No hate towards the man. No hate. He's a good-looking dude. He don't look 26. He look a little bit older than 26, just a wee bit. He look like he pushing 30. If I look this bad, you better tell me today, or you're timed out. Now that's a nice house. What's a nice house? Oh yeah, the house he's in, dude. That's a beach house. It looks like, or a studio apartment. Brett is my cousin. Oh my god, lag. That'd be crazy, bro. That'd be some crazy shit if this guy was related to one of you people. Like, you guys knew about this and like, oh, that happened, that was my family member, that'd be crazy as fuck.
He could be found at children's hospitals reading to sick kids, or at the community center volunteering as an umpire for Little League baseball games. But behind his seemingly perfect exterior, behind the scenes, Brett was struggling.
Oh, that's a nice house. Yeah, that's a good house. I would live there.
And racking up over $60,000 of debt.
While his Chandler friends from Friends.
Graduated
it does look like Chandler from Friends.
Careers in medicine and finance and education, Brett was only able to get a job as a part-time house painter.
Where's my husband?
Felt like he had a lot of potential.
Seven, are you fucking cheating on me, bro? Who is your best man at your wedding? Who was there when you married the love of your life? All right, you know how much I cried because I wasn't the one marrying you? I bawled my eyes out because I wasn't marrying you. You married that woman. You didn't marry me, you married her. Fucking pissed me off. Oh, I've heard this one. Y'all better buckle up. I'm fucking ready. I had a cousin that popped himself while driving, so there's no telling. Okay, okay.
He was
I doubt anybody's related to the guy in the picture.
Up was really his roadblock between him and the life he was
best
man
ever. Hey, so thank you, Seven. I tried.
And making some money to pay down his debt, he decided to come up with an absurd get-rich-quick scheme that actually kind of worked. On October 20th of that year, Brett walked into.
Never trust a get-rich scheme. Please, 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 God, never trust a get-rich scheme. Better than the White's Maid of Honor. All right, I'm gonna ask a question. This is just for me. Seven, please be honest. How many people cried when I gave my speech? I was Seven's best man at his wedding, by the way. I know Seven IRL. I've known Seven IRL for about 12 years, maybe 13. I think we're going on. I was the best man at his wedding. I made everyone in that fucking room cry, and it was amazing. Oh my God. One of the best days of my life was being Seven's best man. That is one of my, to this day, one of my best days of my life. It was fucking amazing. And I loved every minute of it. And I was very honored to be Seven's best man at his wedding. And I was fucking strapped with everything, dude. I had trimmers, everything. Only 3 stories. We've already been through 2, right? Yeah, we already been through 2. So that means that the last one is about 12 minutes long, give or take.
To a bank near his home, and he had hospital bandages wrapped around his head and his face, and his left arm was in a sling. Then he walked up to one of the tellers and handed her a note that just said, "I have a gun underneath this sling.
Oh,
give me
shit.
$2,000. And the teller very quickly complied, and she gave him a little over $1,000. That was all the money she had. And Brett took the money, turned around, and calmly walked out of the bank.
Whoa.
He got in his car, and he got home, and he was totally exhilarated, and he's half expecting the police to just show up at his front door, but they never did. He was never caught. And after that, he was hooked. For the next 8 months, Brett robbed a dozen other banks in the area, stealing almost $30,000. He became so confident in his ability to steal without getting caught that he began dressing up in these ridiculous outfits that included this huge, obviously fake beard.
Hey, you could have fooled me. That looks like the Invisible Man put a costume on. If you guys know the Invisible Man is, that looks like the Invisible Man put a costume on. Full ass, bro, dude. Hey, GG's to my man. GG's to my man. If it worked, they said he stole over $30,000. If my man's cooking, let him cook. I'm just saying, if he's in the kitchen, let him fry up some eggs. Let him cook. It does. Yeah, it looks straight like the Invisible Man put a fucking costume on.
In fact, the media dubbed him the fake bearded bandit. The reason Brett wasn't getting caught is because the police would get his fingerprints at the crime scene, but because he did not have a criminal record, his prints were not in the database. And so the police basically just had to set up and hope to catch this guy in the act. And in the summer of 2008, they finally would catch.
Oh, no, I'm not playing LC for the last hour now.
At Brett's trial, dozens of his friends wrote letters of support to the judge saying that Brett was actually a
that
great
man
guy,
looks
that this was a product of
sad.
Desperation and a total break from his normal character.
God,
and
that man looks sad.
Some of the organizations that he volunteered with did the same thing, writing letters to the judge saying what a meaningful contributor Brett was to the community. When Brett spoke at his trial, he was incredibly remorseful and said he had allowed his debt to get totally out of control and that admittedly he had not handled it well. And so the judge took all of this into account, all the letters of support and Brett's overall appearance in court, and he decided that this was indeed a break from character character, and that Brett was actually a very promising young man, and that he did not deserve the harshest penalty. And so Brett was sentenced to just under 4 years, which, considering the crime, was a very lenient sentence.
That is
so Brett
light.
went to jail, but then less than 2 years later, in 2010, he was granted parole and allowed to move back in with his parents. And his parents would say
dude, he got off lucky.
For a fresh start. But Brett would find...
All right, now Brett looks like Brett looks 26 in this picture. I don't know what it is about this one. He looks younger in this picture after prison, if it is after prison, than he did in the last picture before prison. I don't know if if one's before, one's after, if one was after and then before. He looked younger in this picture. Personally, I get his teeth checked. His teeth look a little dark.
Life outside
I think he looks a little younger.
Exponentially harder now that he was an ex-con. It was extremely hard to get.
You can't go off the crow's feet. I fucking have crow's feet.
And without an income, he couldn't pay down all those debts he had.
Yes.
And so he had to declare bankruptcy. As for life at home, it was very difficult. Brett's family was very embarrassed.
Nothing wrong with bankruptcy.
And when Brett moved back home, it was obvious that all the neighbors were gossiping constantly about their family. And so Brett and his family actually moved to another Toronto neighborhood just to get away from
What's up, Headshot?
But once they settled into this new neighborhood, Brett really knuckled down and decided he was going to get his life together and he was going to do it all on his own. And so he applied to dozens and dozens of jobs all over the place, and finally he was able to get some low-paying work in retail.
There we go.
Great, but it was a start.
Go Walmart, baby. Listen, you need a job, you go to fucking Walmart. I'm not even going to front you guys right now. Walmart actually pays pretty fucking good, depending on like now. They pay good now. They didn't pay good a couple years ago. They pay good now. We're probably not playing games today, Headshot. We're probably not going to do games today. Brett looks like Kevin Bacon and Ryan Reynolds had it. Dude, he does, and I'm not mad about that. I mean, you know, if Brett came up to me, I'd think about it. Yeah, I debated. I'd be like, shit,
so
baby. I give him a chance.
Hours at this really low-paying job, and his parents noticed how hard
back then it was low-paying. Now it's not that low-paying, honestly.
And so they decided they would help him out financially so he could re-enroll in college and finish his degree in biophysics. While Brett was in school, he met a woman named Kristen who had a full-time job and lived in this beautiful.
Dude, Kristen looked like she gonna murder him. Kristen looked like all right, not to be mean. Who knows the witch off of Left 4 Dead 2 or Left 4 Dead 1? Who knows the witch? Kristen, we need her as a live action witch if they ever make a Left 4 Dead live action movie. We need her. Someone find her and email her. We need her. She must be protected for the movie. And by the way, I don't know where the hell they are right now if they're on vacation. That is a beautiful studio apartment that they're living in right now.
Beautiful home, and by and large, she had the life that
my cousin. Oh my god!
And the two of them quickly fell in love. And Brett told her about his criminal past as the fake bearded bandit. And she accepted him, and she didn't judge him. And she said, "I still love you.
Imagine that dater starter. Imagine starting a date out with that. So like, what's your hobbies? Well, I used to rob banks looking like the Invisible Man with the beard. They called me the fake bearded bandit, and I swept these streets and kept them locked down. Motherfucker looked like Blackbeard or the pirate. I mean, just imagine that. That's how you turn the ladies on, guys. Lag. Anybody who's single looking to mingle, that's how you fucking do it, baby. Put on a fake beard, glasses, rob a couple convenience stores with the boys. You'll get a date. You'll get a wife. You just gotta try it. Trust me.
Brett moved out of his parents' house and into Kristen's house, and for once in his life, he felt like his life was going the way it should be. Then a year later, tragedy struck when Brett's father passed away. Suddenly, Brett had to go to his mother's house all the time to try to help her out. And his mother was very appreciative of the time he was spending with her, and so she actually began paying him for the work he was doing around the home. And considering Brett was
good.
a college student,
nothing wrong with that.
This was a huge help, and in many ways, it really brought Brett and his mother together. A year later, in 2015, Brett proposed to Kristen, and she said yes. But at the same time, school was getting over.
All right, this is for the women. I think it's adorable as shit. If a man, say a man took you on a date, did that right in front of you. Actually, I think he proposed like this. I think this is a way of him proposing. B plus K with a heart and an arrow going through it. Do you think that's an ick? Or do you think that's actually romantic? I've had so many women tell me that is an ick, and they would hate for a man to do that in front of them. I think that is cute as shit. I think that is fucking adorable. Like, I would do some shit like this because I just think it's fucking romantic as hell. Looks like Nancy Pelosi. Oh, okay. No, Seb, we're not going to say that. But love isn't real, so well, it might be a conspiracy. But for the women, let me know that's an ick for you guys or not. I've been told it's an ick. Burger King? Shut the fuck up, Seven. Shut the fuck up. I actually don't like Burger King. I do not. I actually do not like Burger King. But I can see how it can seem like an ick. I can see how it seems like an ick, but you have to like... it's the thought that counts. So like the ick overtakes the thought. Meh. I don't know. I think it'd be cute as hell. Like, I just think it'd be cute. Someone proposed by making a heart with the iPhones and got rejected. Oh my god, dude. I mean, it gotta be the thought. Like, it has to be the thought. Like, even if it is an ick, even if it does kind of weird you out or gush you out or whatever, it's the fact that someone took the time to do it. Like, if a woman did something I thought was like whoa, like cringe or ick or whatever, even though I might feel that way, it's the thought that they took the time of their life, of their day, of the time that they'll never get back to do it. That, I think that overtakes the ick, is the fact they took their time. He was on the way out. He was on the way out and she had said no to that. Poor dude. I know. Yeah, that would suck. No man wants to be told no though in rejection.
Out. But
it was over 30K in iPhones. Oh my god!
Because everybody
send me the video. Send me that video.
And he didn't want to explain why he had dropped out, and so he just pretended to still be in school. Then, in the spring of 2016, when Brett should have been graduating, he got a very lucky break when a big tech firm in Toronto offered him a job. On paper, Brett should not have gotten this job. He wasn't qualified. He didn't have a degree. But in getting this job, Brett was able to tell his fiance and his family that he had just graduated college, and that was how he was getting this job. His family and his fiance were a little confused why they weren't invited to his graduation ceremony.
Well, because
nonetheless, they were very excited for him, and they took him out and they celebrated. Then, a week after Brett accepted this job, the tech firm rescinded their offer when they discovered Brett was in fact the fake bearded bandit. Now, Brett panicked because this job represented this perfect piece.
God damn, Paul Walker impersonator right there. Paul Walker impersonator.
Great. And so he couldn't possibly tell his fiance and his family that he didn't get this job. And so he decided he would just lie and pretend to go to this job every day. Meanwhile, Brett's mom began bragging to all of her new neighbors about her son Brett, who had really turned his life around.
That shit would
he graduated from college, he got this great job, he's got a beautiful fiance, he's got this wonderful home. Everything is just going great for Brett. At first, Brett was able to push the guilt out of his subconscious and just live this ridiculous lie. But as his wedding day approached, the weight of all these lies and the guilt he felt, it became overwhelming. And practically speaking, he was worried about how he would explain to his new wife why he had no income despite having this full-time job.
I was about to ask, so like, where's his money coming from?
About dropping out of college, about not getting that job offer. And then he said, "Can you keep all of this a secret? And can you give me a whole bunch of money so I can keep living this lie?"
Yeah, what the fuck?
No. And in fact,
of course
you
she said
need to tell
no.
your fiance that you're lying, or I will. This was the worst case scenario for Brett, and one that he was not prepared for. He really thought his mom would be like, "Yep, let's do it. Let's keep."
So this man thought his mom would fully throw money at him to let him live a lie. Do you realize how much money that is? Once had a date that said that me spending less than $100 on the first date is not worth their time. Well, god damn it, throw her in the hole. Throw her in a hole, any hole. Just shoulder check her into a hole. Oh my god. You lucked out. What, throw the date away? Yeah, throw the date away. On the first date? Hell no, we're going to a coffee shop. I personally take every woman, any woman that wants to go on a date, I take them straight to Taco Bell. And here's why I take them to Taco Bell. Here's my logic behind that. If I don't tell them where we're going, I tell them that we're going to go to, I'm going to take them out to get food. I don't say it's a nice restaurant or anything. If I pull into the Taco Bell drive-thru and I look at their face is disgust, I keep driving through the drive-thru and I drop them off at home and I go back home. Immediately drop them off at their house if their face is disgust at Taco Bell. But if they're just chilling, don't give a shit, you know what? I fucking pull into a parking lot, we eat, we chill out in the parking lot and eat our food. Or we go to my house, depending on which one they want to do. But that's my test. You guys want to know if a woman is a gold digger or not? Drive through Taco Bell, McDonald's, Burger King, any fast food chain that has a drive-through, and just look at their face. Because they might not say it. They might just go with it and then, you know, leave you or say, no, I don't want a second date. Look on their face at what the reaction is of you pulling into a gas station. Toss that person straight to the gutter. Well, I hope, like, metaphorically, Icy. Metaphorically, you did, right? Like, you're not being sick, like, metaphorically, right? You threw him in the gutter. First dates, I usually say arcade, bowling, pool, or something that we don't, something if we don't meet for coffee at first. That's the thing, yeah. That's the thing. And that sounds fun as hell. Arcades, if you find one, great. Bowling, just something in the public view. One, something in public. For one, first date should always be in public. And two, yeah, make sure it's not something expensive. Like bowling, maybe 40, 50 bucks. A pool, I can't swim, but you know, you get with someone that swims, you're spending maybe 10 bucks, 15 bucks. Coffee shop, goddamn coffee shop, you're spending less than 8 or less than like 10 bucks from both. Through her. Oh, okay, all right. Well, we're not going to say that you did that on Twitch. We're going to keep that one on the down low.
He didn't really know what to do. He believed if Kristen found out the truth, she would leave him, and that would ruin his perfect life. And so he decided he would not tell Kristen. Instead, he would kill his mother. Because he was an ex-con, he...
Oh, shit. Okay. That escalated very fucking quickly. Wait a goddamn minute. That escalated really fucking quickly. Okay, that went from, can I borrow money, to no, okay, die. Holy shit.
Couldn't buy a firearm. However, he could buy a crossbow. And so he ordered his crossbow. He watched a couple of YouTube videos on how to operate it.
That's a nice fucking crossbow.
To his mother's house to help out, he stashed the crossbow and some arrows on a shelf in her garage.
Okay.
Then when he got home, he began designing these bizarre contraptions.
Fucking worse, I know.
Built out of fans and pulleys and broomsticks that, when turned on, would move around the room and click on his keyboard and turn his phone off and on. It was designed to help him build an alibi when he was out committing murder. His devices would be turning on and off again.
That's not a bad idea.
He was at home the whole time.
That's not a bad idea.
2017, all his preparations were done. He woke up early that morning and he began getting ready for his fake job.
Okay.
At the same time, Kristen was also getting ready for her real job. And then at 7:30, when they were both ready to go, they hopped in their respective cars.
So 7:30 in the morning. 7:30 in the morning, for context.
Brett slowed down at the end of the street and waited for Kristen to disappear around the corner. Brett turned back, went back into his house, went up to his room, and turned on all of his bizarre alibi contraptions that he made sure were turning off and on his devices correctly.
I wish we had a picture of it. I'd love to see a picture.
These devices would work. He hopped in his car and he drove over to his mother's house. He got there around 10 a.m. He walked inside and his mother was sitting in the kitchen, and he approached her about changing her mind about telling the truth to Kristen. But his mother was staunch, and she said, "No, I'm going to tell her before your wedding unless you do." And so their exchange got really heated.
Well, yeah, I mean,
his mother actually called one of his older brothers, Chris, to come to her house and talk to Brett to defuse this situation. Brett was...
What's Chris gonna do? What is Chris gonna do?
Furious and stormed out of the kitchen. He grabbed the door that led into the garage and he stormed in to try to get his crossbow off the shelf. But his mother followed after him. Now, the crossbow had not been loaded when he put it up on that shelf.
Oh,
and Brett was not very good at loading it, and it would take several seconds to
say
actually do it. So
it takes time.
Himself, when I
you
pull
gotta
that
have some
down
strength.
and begin loading it, she's going to see the weapon, and she's going to run outside before I can get to her. And so when he reached up, he didn't grab the crossbow, he grabbed the arrows. And in a swift motion, he pulled them down, regripped them like a knife, faced his mother, and began attacking her viciously. She fell backwards, and a shelf actually landed on top of her, pinning her to the ground. At which point, Brett seized the opportunity. He got up, grabbed a piece of nylon, he wrapped it around her neck, and he suffocated her. As soon as she was dead, Brett pulled her out from under the shelf and dragged her to the side of the garage. He put the shelf back up, and then he began loading his crossbow, because he knew Chris, his older brother that his mother had called, was going to be here soon.
Oh, so he's getting a 2-for-1 special.
Inside of the garage and just waited. And at some point, he heard Chris's car pull into the driveway. Chris walked into the house. He yelled for his mom. He yelled for Brett, but he didn't get a response. And eventually, Chris made his way to the open door leading into the garage.
Yeah, as you do.
Inside, and as soon as he did, Brett silently got up behind him and he fired.
Is that Daryl? That's fucking Daryl from The Walking Dead. This man stole a picture of Daryl from The Walking fucking Dead, which was my first thought. That was my first thought when I heard about the crossbow, and that's how he's going to use it. I thought of Daryl. First thing I thought of was Daryl.
His neck, killing him instantly. Brett took Chris's body and piled it on top of his mother's, and as he was putting a tarp over top of them, he heard another car pulling into the driveway. It was his younger brother, AJ.
Oh my God, dude, he's taking out the whole family.
He's in too deep, and he has to finish the job, and so he doesn't have time to load his crossbow. And so again, he just grabs one of the arrows and he walks outside, and he sees AJ getting out of his car, and he runs up to him.
Why would he wait?
Jabs the arrow into his brother's neck.
Why wouldn't he just wait?
They're fighting in the driveway. Meanwhile, Brett's other brother, Lee, who's actually in the house sleeping,
Holy shit! How big is this fucking family? We got the mother and a brother in the garage. We have a brother pulling in, and then we have a brother upstairs sleeping. How? Oh my fucking God, dude. Listen, when you have about 2 kids, cut it off at 2 kids. You don't need more than 2 kids. 2 kids is a good, comfortable medium.
Outside in the driveway, he looks out the window and he sees his brothers fighting, and so he runs downstairs and he comes outside. And at this point, AJ is laying on the ground and he's basically motionless. And Brett is standing over him. And Brett turns and he sees Lee in the doorway. And he runs off after him. Lee sees his brother running at him and just turns and runs into the house, but he only gets a few feet before Brett jumps on top of them, and then the two of them have this vicious fight where Brett is trying to stab him with the arrows.
I hope Lee kicked his ass. I hope Lee kicked his fucking ass.
After Lee suffered several very deep cuts, he manages to throw Brett off of him.
There you go.
He runs outside to his brother AJ, who's now crawled all the way to the street. And in fact, AJ had managed to flag down a neighbor and got his neighbor to call the police.
There you go.
Brett, after Lee had managed to fight him off and ran outside, he knew he was done. And so instead of chasing his brother outside, he put his arrow down and he walked into the kitchen. He opened up the fridge. He took a bottle of water out. He left the fridge door open and just walked out to the front steps and sat down and drank his water while he waited for police to show up.
Oh my God.
When they did arrive, his brother AJ died.
Man just said, fuck it.
As police were arresting Brett, he kind of casually said, yeah, I should have taken AJ to the hospital. I could have saved him. And the other guys in the garage are dead. Crossbow to the head. It was
my fucking
Brett
God.
was extremely remorseful and pled guilty to all of his charges. The judge told Brett
that he was
appreciative of the fact that he was taking full ownership of his heinous crimes, and that in many ways he was a victim too, a victim of this huge web of lies that Brett just couldn't get out from under. But nonetheless, Brett was given 3 consecutive life terms, one for each of the murders he committed. The only surviving family member,
that's life
Lee,
in prison, by the way,
was attacked last and managed to run outside and escape Brett. He said that his life was shattered that day and that he can barely go outside because of his extreme post-traumatic stress.
I can understand that.
So that's gonna do it, guys. If you found the secret,
I can understand that. Oh my God, guys! Holy shit! That I could not imagine that. I couldn't imagine shit like that happening, and I could not imagine that happening to me at all. Dad has 6. Your dad has 6 siblings, dude. I got 2. I have 2 brothers. I have an older and a younger brother. I am the middle child. But that's all I got. I got 2 fucking siblings to my name. That's it. That's what we're rocking with here. I have 5 siblings, so that's not that much. Holy shit, lag. I have 3 siblings. It's only 15 years. What do you mean only 15 years? What? It's only 15 years. What, 15 years like for all 3 of you guys? That's 45 years altogether. Oh, okay. I see what you're saying. 8 for me. God damn, dude. Your parents like to go for it. Like your parents had no problem just going for that shit.